Yep. Good evening, everyone. So last session we discussed about all the attribute directives. So the summary till now you've done, I will give you related to this binding. I will compile this. Okay, so actually till now we learned the major concepts, how to design components and how do we handle data binding and class binding and style binding. These are the techniques. In data binding, you learned about one-way and two-way binding techniques. So one-way binding, another one is two-way binding. And we learned some other technique like content projection like this we discussed. And actually another concept is directives. These are all the topics we discussed up to now. So components, data binding in components. Yesterday we finished class and style binding, how it works. And directives, structural directives. In that what we have? Structural directives we have, attribute directives we are having, right? These are key terms, actually important terms. Now another, in the attribute directives we actually have ng style, ng class and ng model. Now one more category is there in the directives. You have component directives. Already we learned component directives are nothing but components. Means we can create our own components and use them. Generally you used, suppose app login, that is a component directive. So we are creating our own components and we are accessing and using them. These are called component directives. So these are all data binding, class binding and style binding. Now another very major concept you need to know, Angular event binding. You need to understand the Angular event binding concept. Actually event binding same like JavaScript here. Few changes we need to know. First point, technically, what is an event? So the technical concept you need to understand first, what is an event? How you generally define events. Technical answer is event is a message sent by sender to its subscriber in order to notify the change. That is the technical definition of event. Technically, event is a message sent by sender to its subscriber in order to notify the change. That is the technical definition. What does that means? I will explain. We will see that. Anywhere in any technology you are dealing with event means this is the basic definition. So actually event follows a software design pattern. It follows a software design pattern called observer. Event follows a software design pattern called observer. This is for experienced people, because for experienced people, they ask which design pattern event uses. Design patterns is a very big concept. I told you already when we discussed MVC, MVVM. Design patterns are very huge concepts. For senior people, they ask the design pattern behind every concept. This concept, which design pattern it is, right? Because design pattern will make you understand about the architecture behind it, how it works. So actually, observer is generally observer is a communication pattern. Communication pattern. In the design patterns, observer is a communication pattern. It is an communication pattern. So observer is a communication pattern. That means it handles communication. I will explain this point. One more thing you should know is event uses delegate mechanism. Delegate mechanism. It uses a delegate mechanism. It uses delegate mechanism. Actually, delegate is nothing but delegate mechanism means function pointer. Function pointer. Delegate means function pointer. Delegate mechanism means function pointer mechanism. Let's see all these points. One by one, I will explain this. Actually, see here, you are writing some JavaScript code. I will explain the JavaScript scenario here. So you are writing a function called insert click. And this is insert click function. Yeah. We have a button, and this button on click, we are using insert click. Generally, whenever anybody see this code, they usually think that there is a function called insert click, and on button click, we are calling the function insert click. Am I right? That means there is a function called insert click, and on button click, we are calling the function insert click. No, it is not that. We are not calling the function. We are not calling the function. We are pointing towards the function. That means it is not this way. So that means it is not this way. That means, for example, so it is not, actually it is this way. So it is not this way. That means you are not calling the function. We are not calling the function. We are pointing towards the function. We are pointing towards the function, not calling the function. I will show you that here. Suppose roughly, to make you understand, I need to show you one simple HTML page. Okay. Now see here. So we are writing a simple HTML. Here we have a button, insert, and we are writing on click. We have insert click. Is there any function by name insert click? There is no function by name insert click, but you are calling. Then usually it should show error saying that there is no insert click. Insert click not defined. You see now when I run this, let's open in server. Yeah. When I run this, you can see here, inspect. Let's go to console. We will go to console. You see there is no error. If you are calling a function which is not there, then it should show error. But it is not showing any error. But observe, when I click insert, now it will show error. That means when I click, it tried to point towards that function. Now it is unable to find it. Then it shows error. So event is a communication pattern. So it is a function pointer. It is not function calling. It point towards the function. We call this mechanism as delegate. Delegate means function pointer. Event is not calling the function. It is pointing towards the function. Now here, that means this is pointing towards this function. We are not calling the function. And here, this is called sender. And this is called subscriber. Sender sends a notification to the subscriber. And subscriber will perform the functionality. Subscriber will do the functionality. That means sender will send a notification saying that button clicked. Then the subscriber will perform the functionality. So event is a message sent by sender to its subscriber in order to notify the change. That means sender sends a notification to the subscriber. Now subscriber will perform the functionality. Here subscriber means a subscriber contains the actions to perform. Subscriber contains some actions to perform. And when those actions are performed, that will be notified by sender. When button is clicked, it will perform. So sender sends a notification to the subscriber and subscriber will do the functionality. So this mechanism of pointing towards functions is called function pointer, is called delegate. And this is called as observer in software design patterns. In software design patterns, we have creational patterns, structural patterns, and behavioral patterns. This comes under the category of behavioral patterns, communication patterns, right? So event follows a delegate mechanism. It uses a delegate mechanism. It is a communication pattern. It sends a message and communicates. Here, very important is this is on click. This on click is called, this is called event. And on click, it is pointing to this function. That means on click, what it is finally doing. This is called event handler. That is called event handler. So we have event and we have event handler. Event means when it will perform. Event handler means when and what will it will do. So in JavaScript, everywhere we will have a event and a event handler. Angular also follows the same mechanism. Angular also follows same mechanism. Only the point here, the syntactical references are different. What is the syntactical reference? In Angular, you will have a method. So you will have a method public insert click, and it is void type. That is the method. And we have a button, and in this button we write click. On that click, it will point towards insert click. That is how it works in Angular. The same mechanism. Here also you will have sender sends a notification to the subscriber. So the simple difference is there you use on click and here you use click. So this is in Angular how you define. So if you know JavaScript events, Angular events also same. Few changes are there that I will show now. So how that works. That means see, actually syntactically we have public, then insert click. On insert click it is a void type. Yeah. This is considered as, we call this as subscriber. We call it as subscriber. And insert, so this is button, right? Button have a click. On this click, insert click. So this is considered as sender. Sender. We call it as a sender and subscriber. So event means sender sends a notification to subscriber and subscriber will do the functionality. It will do the functionality. Now, here we have click. This is considered as event. Click is considered as event. And when click happened, it is pointing towards insert click. This is called event handler. So event is different, event handler is different. Event and event handler is different. Event just mentions when the action is performed. And event handler specifies when and what action is performed. So that means sometimes you have to refer to event, sometimes we have to refer to event handler. If anybody asks what is the event handler, then you should tell about the event and its function. If anybody asks what is the event for this, you have to just tell on click, on change, on blur. These are events. If anybody asks what is event handler here, then you should tell on click, it is calling insert click. It is pointing towards insert click. That is event handler. So if you are referring to when and what, then it is event handler. Only when it is performed, that is event, right? So we have event and event handler. Very important. Next important you should know is actually every event handler by default have, every event handler by default have an argument $event. Every event handler by default have an argument $event. It have an default argument. Better to say every event handler have a default argument. Have an default argument. This is good to tell. Every event handler have a default argument called event. In JavaScript, 2 arguments are there, but in Angular we have only 1. JavaScript event handler have 2 arguments. 2 default arguments are there. If anyone asks what are the default arguments, JavaScript event arguments, default event arguments are this. Another one is event. JavaScript default arguments are 2. One is this, another one is event. But Angular default argument is only 1. That is $event. That is the default argument. And what is the purpose is, so $event sends information about, so 2 things, about object and about event. The Dollar event sends information about object as well as about event. It will send information about object and event. That means, so object related information and event related information syntactically. So I will show here in JavaScript, it will be insert button on click is equal to insert click, and it will have this and event. These are two arguments in JavaScript. In Angular, you will have click, and we have insert click, and we have only dollar event. Only one default argument will be there. One default argument. Default argument is only one, and that is event. Now what this will do in JavaScript, this will send information about object. Object means button. Means button ID, button name, button value, button related height, width, everything you can access by using this. Event sends information about click event. That means which button clicked, left button, right button, which position they clicked, x-axis, y-axis, along how they clicked, along with control key they clicked or alt key they clicked, shift key they clicked. All such information about event is sent by using event. I hope you all learnt all these things in JavaScript, events, because there detail you will learn about all these concepts. Only the difference, these two work is managed in Angular by using dollar event. Dollar event. How it will manage both? Actually, dollar event can access two options. Directly it can access dot client X, client Y, key code, char code, shift key, control key. Like this, event arguments will be there. That means event sends information about all these details. These are event related details. Directly event related details are sent like this. Object related details are sent like this by using $event.target. By using target, we can send object related details like ID, like name, like class, like so value, all these things like width, like height, like SRC, if it is having SRC. All these details are sent by using target. Event related information is sent by using direct event. Object related information is sent by using target. So actually this work in JavaScript is managed by this and event. But here it is managed by dollar event. I will show you the difference here. See. Suppose this is JavaScript. In this JavaScript, I will write this function now. We will write a script and a function insert click. On insert click, here we are passing this and event. Two arguments we are passing. Then we have to collect two parameters. One, this is for object details, and event for event details. Event related details will come here. Let's print those details and see how the object details will come. See, for example, button have ID. Button ID is btn insert. Button have name like insert. So button have class like btn primary. I want to access all these button details. If I want to access all these button details, I can get by using first one. Object details. Who sends those object details? This will send the object details. We can collect here. am collecting here, see, I am collecting document.write. I am printing here details like button ID. How to access that? By using object details.id. I am accessing in the next line button name. How to access that? By using object details.name. I want class, button class, and here I am using object details.class name. I am accessing all the object related details. You see now, when I click on this insert, it will get object details. Button ID is btn insert, button name is insert, button classes are these. That means object related information we can send by using this. Event related information we can send by using event. That means X position, where they clicked X position, we can get event details here. Event details dot client X. I want to know, have they clicked normally or using a control key? That means control key. So here I will use event details dot ctrl key. It will return whether control key used or not. For example, you may ask, why do I need like these event properties? Very simple actually. Suppose see, I am writing here www.http www.amazon.in. I just written some address. Observe carefully when I move mouse onto it. It shows a message, control plus click. You can open this link. I thought that click means only click. No, you have to use combinations also sometimes. That means you need to click by using control key now. Then it can open this. That means normal click one work, control plus click another work. How the event knows you used control key or not? That is done by event arguments. That means if, see now in our logic we done that. In the logic we are verifying control key used or not. So see now, I clicked here, it says control key false. I will do one thing. I will press control key and click that insert button. Now it says true. That means we can manage the functionality with so many combinations. That is the reason every event requires these options. That means it's very important for a developer not only to just write events, but also to write events with combination of various keys, with combination of various situations, right? That means we need to know where they clicked. We need to know which combination click happened. For all that, these event arguments are required. So object related information we can collect by using what? By using this. Event related information we can collect by using event. But in Angular, this both work is done by $event. Let's see. Let's go to now here this example. Just roughly example, I will keep it here. I will remove the previous events, what it is having here. Now simply I am removing all the logic also here, what it have. Yep. Now just I am creating a simple method, public insert click. Now insert click is expecting event arguments. So I will just give event args. And it is what type? Any type. Because a boolean will come, number will come, string will come, different types will come, any type. Okay. Now here we will write a button. So that means we will put a button insert. and button have an ID BTN insert. Button have a class BTN primary. Button have a name, so insert. Okay. Now on button click, we have to right click. We need to send all the button details to insert click method. Then we will send by using $event. In JavaScript, two are required. One is this, another one event. But in Angular, one is enough. This is not allowed. Why this is not allowed? Because JavaScript component is a class. And in class, this is already a keyword. This is already a keyword which is used to access the class members inside the class. In that case, this is not allowed. So we need to just use $event. Now, this can send both details, object details as well as event details. We will collect them and see here. Let's print document.write. We will print those details. See, I will say button ID. How to get button ID? Event args, object related details you cannot access directly by using another property called target. Target.id. Object related all details are accessed with reference of target. Similarly, I want button name. So button name, then event args dot target dot name. Similarly, I want button class name, button class, and we have event args dot target dot class name. That's how we do. Now I want to access event arguments directly. Event arguments means exposition. How to access that exposition? Event args dot client x, client x, client x. Remember, these are all reserved keywords. You have to use exactly with the same spelling, capitalization. Client X, class name, ID, name, capitalization also matters because they are reserved keywords. They are property names. Suppose I want to know control key. Then you see here we have event args.ctrl key. Now see, in JavaScript, two parameters required, but here one. It can manage all. Now you see, now I click on, let's open localhost. This is insert button. I click on this insert button, then automatically it gets that information. Same logic, but a different approach here. We don't write on click, we write in a parenthesis click. And the same thing is happening. Button ID, button name, button class name, button position, and control key false. I will do one thing. I will hit this using control key. I will click. Then it says control is true. Control is true. These kind of situations are important. These are very important to manage the functionalities. So event have one default argument, and the default argument is $event. This is one simple syntax example. I will give a simple syntax example here. So here component.ts file. In the TS file, I am writing this logic, and component.html file, I am just using this button. This is just syntax example. How to collect the data and how to handle it. Let's put in proper example in the next level. We will see that how we can put that. Initially, one point you understood here, that every event in Angular can have one default argument, that is $event, right? And how to collect object details, and how to collect event details. Object details we collect by using target, and event details directly by using event parameter, right? One more point is Angular allows custom parameters, custom arguments. Angular allows custom arguments. You can pass your own arguments. Default argument 1, its name is $event. If you want, you can pass your arguments. And Angular allows any type of arguments. That means it is a primitive type, non-primitive type. You can send any kind of arguments. So Angular allows multiple arguments. You can send multiple arguments. You can have your own arguments. You can have multiple arguments. You can have any type of arguments. You can send. So Angular allows both default and custom arguments. You can pass both default arguments, custom arguments at a time. That depends on your requirement. You can do anything. So it will allow custom arguments. It can allow any type of arguments. For example, see here. Now in this example, what I will do is, in this example, on insert click, I am not sending default argument. I am not sending default argument. Here I am sending one is 1, that is a number. I am sending string TV. I am sending suppose true, that's a boolean. And I am sending here another one is array. I am sending array. This is an array of string. So in that I have Delhi. So in that I have Hyderabad. And I am sending so an object. In that I have rating. So rate. So that is suppose 3.5. I have 3.54 or something like this. And I have count. So that is some 3000 like this. We are sending so many details. You can pass any number of arguments, any type of arguments, but you have to collect them here. You have to collect those arguments here. Now, can you tell me how to collect all arguments using one parameter? Actually, how many arguments you passed, those many parameters are required. I hope you learned in JavaScript, there is a parameter called REST parameter. JavaScript ES5 and higher versions support REST parameter. REST parameter is one parameter that allows multiple arguments. You can define REST parameter by using ... And you can define the arguments. That means you can simply put args, some arguments, anything. That means you can put some values. That means it is collecting all those values. It is collecting all those values. And it is what type? REST parameter is actually, it is an any type array. REST parameter is an any type of array. Actually, to collect all those parameters, we need all the references. So your JavaScript already teaches you about REST parameters. Functions can have REST parameters. REST parameter means a REST parameter allows multiple arguments. Otherwise, what you have to do, you have to declare what first value ID. Its data type is what? Number. Second value name. Its data type is string. Third value stock. So that is what type? Boolean. Fourth value. So it is cities. Cities is a what type? String type array. After that, another one is rating. Rating. Rating is an object. That means you can give any. You can give any, or we can declare as an object type, which will have two options. What is it? Rate. Rate is what type? Number. Another one, count. Count is also what type? Number. Then it is ready to collect all your details. That means these all details can be collected correctly now. And you know that order is also important. Right? And now here, that means order is important means ID must be number. After ID, there must be string as per order. And you know, every parameter is mandatory. How you can make it optional? You can put a question mark. And already rules I told you, if you put an optional parameter, mandatory parameters not allowed. TypeScript we learned now. These are all the basic rules we need to follow. That means optional parameter must be last. Right? Now we can present these details. This is complex. If anybody asked you a question in interview like this, how many parameters we can pass in a method? How many parameters you can pass in a method? The maximum number of parameters in any technology in the world is 2048. So it is 1024. That is the maximum number of parameters. Any technology in the world, maximum number of parameters allowed is 1024. So that is the reason you can't expect all these parameters. One single rest parameter, you can collect all. For example, roughly now, let's print all these details. Document.write. We are printing the details. Like what? ID. How do we get the ID? We will access ID. And the name. So how do we get the name? We will access name. And we have stock. So we will access that stock. We are collecting the values, and we have cities. We will access the cities dot to string because it's an array, and we have rating. So in that we have a rate. So, and the rate is, we are defining some rating dot rate, and we have how many people. That means rating dot count. Now, when user clicks the button, then it should collect all the details and show. Right? It should display all the details. So you can handle any number of parameters. You can handle any number of parameters. Any type of parameter. Remember, you can pass these along with default parameter. Along with the default parameter. Along with the default parameter means here I am using event args, and it is any type. After that ID. And in this now, the first one will be $event. After that ID, name, and others. That means we have both default argument and custom arguments. We have both default argument and custom arguments. Now what this default argument can do? It can get information about, suppose button name. How we can get that? Event args dot target dot name. That means it can get that button name and it can display insert. So event arguments, these all are satisfied now. Angular allows custom arguments. Angular allows any type of arguments. Angular allows multiple arguments. Angular allows both custom and default arguments. These are different types of arguments. So we need to know how do we pass. How we can make this simple now. How to make this simplified. Right? How do we manage this in a simple way? Let's see. Let me keep this first. This is multiple parameters. So in component.ts file, multiple parameters. This is TS file, component.html file, and this is the HTML file with multiple components. That is the HTML with multiple components. Let's do one thing. How do we collect all this? Suppose I am not using this event roughly first. And here I removed that event args. We need to collect all these parameters. Whatever passed, we need to collect all of them. Then in order to collect all the parameters passed, just we have to create one REST parameter. So the REST parameter is args, arguments. What type? Any type array. Any type array. We need to just define the arguments any type array. Now, how do we collect all of them? Because it's an array. In that, at first index, ID is present. Second index, name is present. You have to use a destructuring technique. You have to use a destructuring technique. Already I told you array destructuring. That means LET. We have to define ID, name, stock, cities, and what else? We have rating. All these are applied with these args. That's it. This is destructuring. By using this destructuring technique, whatever arguments are passed, we can collect all of them and store in these references. So this is REST parameters of JavaScript. So, and important, this is destructuring in array. And now we can print those details. Document.id, we can print those details. They are same. ID is $ID. So we have name, so that is $name. And we have stock, so that is stock. And we have cities, and this is, we have cities.toString. ToString, it's an array. So we have rating, so we have rating.rate. And we have rating.count. We are accessing the details. And now when I click on this insert, it gets those details. This time we are not defining multiple parameters, only one REST parameter which can accept all. This is the REST parameters. So this is the good technique of accessing all the values if there are many values passed, right? This is another technique. So in this technique example, this is REST parameters in event argument, REST parameters as event arguments. So event args. For that, just one change. HTML is same, only one change here, component.ts. In this, you have to keep this logic. Component.ts, we have to keep this. Component.html, this is HTML. Just all examples I am giving for your reference sake. So these are the basic things you need to understand about events. That means how to write event, how to collect the data about that event, how to collect the data about the object, how the arguments are configured and passed, how the argument values are collected and used. This is important. If there are many arguments passed, then use REST parameters. If you want to know information about the events, then use default argument. If you want anything else to send, then you can send your own custom arguments. These are all event arguments, right? Now, important is Angular. So Angular can use all JavaScript browser events. Angular can use all JavaScript browser events in the same style, in the same style. It can use all the JavaScript events in the same style. Here there is nothing new events. All JavaScript events are Angular events. All JavaScript events are React events. Any JavaScript based technology have to use JavaScript events only. And what are the JavaScript events you learned? What are the events you learned? So JavaScript browser events, that means you can say browser events. Browser events are categorized into various groups. Browser events are categorized into various groups. So we have mouse events. So in that we have mouse over, mouse out, mouse down, mouse up, and mouse move. This comes under mouse events. We have keyboard events. Keyboard events, we have key up, we have key down, and we have key press. So we have button events. Button events, we have click, we have DBL click, and context menu. That means click, double click, and right click. Context menu means right click. What should happen on right click? We have clipboard events. Clipboard events like cut, like copy, like paste. These are clipboard events. Cut, copy, paste comes under category of clipboard events. So we have state events, element state events like focus, like blur, like change, like select start, all these under element state events. So we have form events. Form events are like submit and reset. These are form events. Submit and reset are form events. We have touch events. These are used for modern touch screens and all. We have touch start, we have touch end, we have touch move. All these are used by mobile developers mostly while developing Android, iOS apps using Angular. Angular is also used for developing mobile apps. But you are not learning mobile apps here because for that separate mobile frameworks you have to learn. So many mobile frameworks are there. So touch events, we have timer events. Timer events like set interval, we have clear interval. So we have set timeout, we have like clear timeout. All these comes under timer events. These are all different categories of events we have. Different various categories of events. So many will be there. So several other events also will be there. It's not enough even 1 year to learn about JavaScript. If you have to learn JavaScript, even 1 year is not enough to learn JavaScript because it is never possible. What do you think? You are learning Java.NET, you are learning complete Java.NET. No. That means in Java there are more than 1 million classes. You are learning after all 10, 15, 20 classes. 1 million classes, your brain will explode. You will be dead by the end of Java. Right? It's not possible. No human in the world can learn a complete technology. Not even robots also. Because even is not enough to handle the load. Right? That's not possible because hundreds of events will be there. Hundreds of events for different situations. What generally people learn in a technology is what is regularly used in various common domains. If you are working on a rare domain, some rare events you have to use. They don't need every time, right? So many events are there. For example, see, suppose means I will just show you how many events are there. Suppose you are simply writing some logic here, script. I will creep here for var property of window and document dot write. I am printing every property of window, and you can see these are all window related properties here. So what is it? So I will put in a window dot we have one option, you can see here, in, right? Sorry, in window. Property means in operator. Yeah, you can see these are all the window related properties. You can see how many events are there. You see, starting from on, these are all events of JavaScript. These are all events of JavaScript. It's not possible. It's not possible. Don't even try to learn all this. That means if you are trying to learn all this, you are wasting your time, right? That's all not required at all. So because you may use only what is needed for regular domains, you will learn that generally. It's never possible to deal with everything of any technology, right? That means they are developing so many millions of features, and out of that we are using only what is necessary for us, right? This is the program just I written to know what are all the events available. See, so many events are there. So many events are there. These are different types of events, different categories related events, right? Out of that, some are important for us, right? We will see them. How do we manage these events? Let's see. Means we will see some examples how we can manage these events. So already 1-2 example I will show here. Already mouse event yesterday I showed you. What is the mouse event? Yesterday we saw mouse move. When mouse is moving, we collected the X position, Y position, and we applied to an image. When we applied to an image, automatically that affects, it is moving along with the mouse. So there are so many things like mouse over, mouse down, mouse up. Like we can use various events. Just simple example I will show here. So already in previous examples also we discussed, right? Where we used that in content projection I showed you now. In content projection, so we used the event. So what is the event? I think I copied that earlier, huh? Right? I showed you printer preview na. In the printer preview, what we done on mouse over, we are sending the view number, view 1, view 2, view 3. That means when mouse is over, what action to perform. When mouse is out, what action to perform. Those comes under category of mouse event. Let's see one simple keyboard event. Let's see the keyboard event and try that here. I will just put a simple terminal. So ng generate component and event demo. Event demo, I'm adding a component. Right, let's write some event here. Suppose here we are defining event demo in the startup. So event demo, and in index.html event demo. Okay. Now let's see one simple example of how we can deal with keyboard events generally, where they are used. Let's go to the event demo component. In the HTML page, I'm designing a simple option. So class container fluid. So, and here we will define a heading, suppose register user, and a data list, data term, some username. Now here we have input type is equal to text. Now what we want to do is, whenever user is typing the username, I need to verify whether that username is already taken or not, and I want to display some message. Username is already taken, try another, is available. So we will have some data also. Let's go to the TS file, and here we will maintain some data. We will maintain some data in public. Users. Users is an any type array, and in that we will put some users information. User name, that is some John. Okay, another user name, so some John 1 2. Okay, another some user name like this. We have some John underscore NIT. We have some user name, so this is some David. Okay, when user is typing username, we need to make sure that that username is not already taken, and we need to put some alert. We need to display some alert. Container fluid. Okay, we want to put some alert when user is typing. While typing, I have to read every character, because even one character change, username is available. So for every character we have to verify. Then we have to use an event, that is key up. Key up indicates what action to perform immediately when the key is released. That means they released a key after typing, immediately what to happen. I will do one thing, verify user. Now into this verify user, I have to send what character they are typing. That means what value they are typing inside this text box, that I have to send. How to send the current text box value? To send the current text box value, we need an argument $event. Through $event, what we can do, we can send the current object related value. We can send object related value as well as event related details, right? That means when key up, we are sending $event. We will collect that here. That means we need to write a public verify user, and this is expecting, so event arguments, args, what type, any. That means we have to collect that event argument here, and whatever value they entered in the text box, we will collect the value. So, and we need to verify that value is already taken or not. We need to verify that value is already taken or not, and we will put one message, public. So user error, we will use a string type, and initially it is empty. Now we will write the condition here. We have to write a for var user of what is the collection, this dot users. We are verifying every user, and we are writing the condition if user dot username is matching with event arguments dot target dot value. That means whatever value entered in text box. Whatever value entered in text box, we are directly collecting it without using any ng model. Without using any ng model, because now event argument have the ability to collect it. Event argument can directly collect the value entered in the text box. We are collecting it, and if it is matching, then this dot msg, that means user error, it should display user name taken and try another. This message should display. And I will put a break after displaying that. Otherwise, if it is not matching this dot user error, it should display message username available. This message should come. Now what happens? This user error must display below this in the data definition. We will display that user error. We will display the user error. So now I click inside it. I started typing. It says username available. I entered John. It says username taken. And John 1, it is available. John 1, 2, it is taken. John 1, 2, 3, it is available. Every character it have to verify. So for that we need an event called keyup. Keyup is used to verify after every character. Here one important, you already learnt in JavaScript. If anybody asks what is difference between keyup and keypress. Suppose I am writing John, how many keys pressed? 3 keys pressed, not 4. Because key press means you have to finish the key and use another key. That is key press. Key up means how many keys up here? 4 keys up, but only 3 keys pressed. That means you finish this N and space, then it is completed. This is not great. If I use key press without knowing this basic logic, it will go wrong. For example, let's do that now. I am using not key up, I am using key press. Blindly you cannot use without knowing its logical behavior. Right? So key press, I am writing key press, I am typing J, it's available. Good. JOHN, it stays still available. But it is taken. But actually it is not considering N yet. Why? Because it is not finished. It is finished when you finish that N. That means space. That's not good. You cannot have spaces in username, passwords and all. That's not good. That is the reason key up only the best one for this, not key press. This is all JavaScript. See, this much time I should not waste for teaching about events in Angular. Nobody in the world of Angular will teach you events. Understood? Because they will simply say that all JavaScript events are events. Just event argument is $event. That's it. That is only one point statement. Nobody in the world of Angular training or tutorials will tell you on click what to do, on mouse, on key up what to do. These are all not Angular part. This is not Angular part. This is all JavaScript. You are not doing any Angular thing here. This is all general basic JavaScript. Right? So just event arguments, what change? So how to handle the event? That is one additional thing. Here one specialty is there. Here we can have custom events, our own events. We will see that, right? Initially, this is one basic example. How do we deal with key events? How we can give it key events? Just I am giving one example to deal with these events. Okay. I will do one more thing. So this is component.ts. You can give any name. So this is component.ts and we have component.html. In that, this is the option. I will do one thing. Today I will upload one Word document. In that all events list and examples will be there. You practice them. I just given only 1-2 examples because everywhere we are using these events. In further also we will do that, right? I will upload one document. You go through all the events, different examples related to events. Then very major concept we are going to discuss tomorrow that is custom events. How to create our own events. This is the major one. And this is very important even for interviews. Right? Lot of questions in interviews are asked related to custom events that we will discuss tomorrow. Right? What are custom events? How to work with these custom events? I will discuss tomorrow. And by today, I will upload a document. You go through events. If you have confusion, I will explain some events, different one. Okay. Tomorrow we'll continue then. Right.